Whoop, wrong button. Anyways, yo. What's going on, y'all? Thanks for tuning in and stopping on by. So, we finally have the, well, I shouldn't say first, but second episode of Fantasy Haus Live coming at you back on our Wednesday stuff, because obviously tomorrow is the first game. Well, not first game, but second week. We'll start the second week because it's Thursday. So I would like to get these things kind of rolling again. Different from last year is we're back to doing these stream things. So last year we kind of did it as more of like a YouTube-ish kind of exclusive, but yeah. I think it just felt better and felt, I don't know, just feels more natural doing live on stream. And then it'll still be available on YouTube, but we're just going to do what we've been doing with our shuffled universe. I'm just going to export it straight on over once the stream is done. So these will be cast live, and then, yeah, they'll be exported right on over to YouTube. But I don't think, well, I should say I don't think, we don't have anyone lined up for tonight. Having said that, actually, I don't know if we have anyone or will have anyone lined up, especially since right now, technically we're starting not way later, after midnight, but it's about 12:30ish as of right now, so yeah, it's gonna be just me tonight. And then I should also mention that since last season there have been a little bit of changes. If you guys weren't here for our draft episode, we actually went up to 2 more teams. So now instead of a 10-team league, we're now a 12-team league. Let me grab these. I always like to, I don't know, I like holding my football. Something to fidget with, I guess. But yeah, I think that was the only big change. We're still PPR and still yeah, still pretty much just PPR, and then just 12 teams is really the only difference. And then nothing else really changed, like roster-wise, as far as like the number of players. But all right. So without too much further ado, let's kind of get into the actual kind of Fantasy Haus Live. Kind of giving you the little intro, but let's get into it, because like I said, now that we're up to 12 teams, we have a little bit more work to do. Oh, and before I forget, at the end, I've decided for the last few seasons, I've been deciding if I want to do some sort of like pick'em. And I'm not going to do like a pick'em league, but I decided that just at the end of these videos or streams or whatever, the last thing I'll do as part of Fantasy Haus Live is I'll just go through the NFL games for the incoming week, and I'll pick who I think is going to win. I think it'll be kind of fun, little way to end it. But all right, without too much further ado, let's go. All right, see, same setup a little bit. We just got us chilling over here on the side this time. But as usual, we are going to start with the preview, or not, I shouldn't say the preview, the review of how week 1 went. And if we take a look, review, boom. Okay. So I'm just going to go right on through. We have I can't say the word. Massage Watson getting the win this week. 116.5 over Team Nuge, who still hasn't changed his team name at all. Who had a score of 111.6. So that was actually a pretty narrow score. Then we had Destino, the first one of the season. Gotta get it out. You know it, you love it. If you know, you know. First, the newcomer, Desert Swarm, who had 129 points, actually and picked up the win, 129-72. If we move into the third matchup, we had Team Ditka picking up another narrow win here over the renamed, this was the old Chicago Deviants team, which is now new team, same Zeke versus newcomer Team Ditka. Yeah, like I said, Team Ditka able to get the win, only a 3-point win, so good for them as they start the season strong. Then moving into our third matchup, we had the Young Guns taking on Bob's Burgers, who didn't change his name, Young Guns, another newcomer to the league this year. Bob's Burgers picking up the win by a score of 85-45 to 79.7. Then in our second to last matchup, we had CD's Nuts, who conveniently enough is actually it's just a rename of it's a newcomer to the league, but they have someone that's been in the league before who rechanged their name who had their edit, who had CD's Nuts as a team name previously. Good lord, why was that so hard to say? All right, anyways. So CD's Nuts was able to start strong and get a win with one of the biggest score lines and biggest stat lines of the of this week, mostly because they had none other than the Dallas defense, which, if you didn't see, went off this weekend. Anyways, CD got the win with 138.2 over the BJJs at 106. Then, in our final matchup, it was the Adams family, who is the one of the OGs, going against the current reigning, defending champion, Kelsey Me Softly, who also had one of the highest scores of this week and picked up the win by a score of 138 to 120. Now, as a staple of what we always like to do when we do these like little breakdowns is we like to, you know, kind of see how it all broke down game by game. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna break it down, and that's when you cue the the DX music. But anyways, so then we're gonna go to our break it down. We're gonna take a look at our first matchup, which once again was Massage Watson taking on Team Nuge. Make sure we got all of them nice and seen. Perfect. Okay. I can actually probably zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, I like how that looks. So we're at 170. Okay, good to know. Okay, so here on the board we had, excuse me, we had Deshaun Watson in his first game, who Cleveland just destroyed Cincinnati. So he actually had a decent day, able to get 22 points, while Justin Herbert. Oh, can we not actually see Justin Herbert? Oh, that's fine because we can do this. Yes. Excellent. Cool. Okay, that works. All right. So I'll move this over here so it's out of the way a little bit. All right, perfect. So we had Deshaun Watson, like I said, Cincy just got blown out of the water by the Browns. And Deshaun Watson able to get 22 points. If we look over at Team Nuge's quarterback, who this year is Justin Herbert, also a similar stat line there, able to get 23 points, but they had a shootout kind of loss with the Dolphins. And let's be honest, Tyreek went off that game. What was it, like 200 yards? And I think no, that was Tyreek that had like 200 yards and almost 466 for Tua. Puts him on pace for like 7,000 if he's able to keep that up, which is just insane if you think about it. But then in our next matchup, we had Austin Eckler able to get 26 points in the Chargers' loss to Miami versus Jahmyr Gibbs, who used the rookie in that first matchup. The huge win for the Lions over Kansas City, able to get 8 points. They did use a lot of David Montgomery, but you know, wouldn't be too worried. I think Mr. MCDC said that they're gonna be kind of unleashing Gibbs more. You know, they didn't want to unleash him all in week 1. So you know, he's gonna be more of a factor coming in, and especially like Detroit's is gonna be insane. Then we have the next set of running backs, which was, at least for my team, Najee Harris, only able to get 5 points in the loss to San Francisco. San Francisco, very strong defensive front, so they're going to be pretty much powering through a lot of their opponents. They're a favorite, Super Bowl favorite, so it's not going to be too surprising there. James Conner actually able to put up a pretty modest 12 points in the loss to Washington. Then if we go into our first set of wide receivers, we had Amon-Ra St. Brown, absolute stud for the Lions, putting up 19 points in their, once again, their big 1-point win over KC. And Jamar Chase, as shocker, as byproduct of that pretty much stinky blowout in Cleveland. Was it in Cleveland? I think it was in Cleveland. Yeah, it was in Cleveland. So obviously with all of Cincy struggling. Jamar Chase only able to get about 9 points in that loss. In the next set of wide receivers, we had Keenan Allen, who's able to put up 14 in that loss to Miami, while on the opposite side of the ball was Jalen Waddle. He did put up a modest 11, although all eyes were, let's be honest, on Ty Freak, who put up, like I just said before, it was like, what, over 200 and something yards, plus 2 tuds, so just incredible. That Miami offense, once again, looking incredible. Hopefully everyone can stay healthy, that, you know, for all parties. Ow, sorry. All right, now moving into the tight ends. Good old TJ Hawkinson, the newly paid tight end over there, or I should say the newly repaid tight end there in Minnesota, able to get 11 points this week in the loss to Tampa. Then Evan Engram, going to be kind of more of a centerpiece there in Jacksonville with with Trevor Lawrence there, able to get 9 points in the win over Indy. Then in the flex spot, we had Deontay Johnson only able to get 7 points in that pretty brutal loss to San Francisco. Hopefully, and we're all what am I going to say here? We're all expecting Pittsburgh to bounce back here easily because, like I said before, that that San Fran defense is just sheesh, insane. On the opposite side of the ball, you had Mike Evans. Still, the man's cooking. Having said that, I'm a Baker fan, so you're not gonna sit here and see me shit on Baker all the time. I like him. Think he's been kind of run out of a lot of these places. Man's accurate. He's not in a bad system, so I would expect Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to still be cooking. Evans able to get 18 points in that win over Minnesota. Then if we're going to take a quick look at these defenses, the Ravens put up a big 12 in that thromping of Houston in a 25-9 win, while the Bills, the Bills had every chance to win that game if Josh Allen didn't just consistently throw picks. But they got 7 points, so just, kind of middle of the pack. Or you'd expect the Bills defense to be a bit better. I mean, obviously, coming into this season, they were all going to have Rodgers, and then, the injury, so that sucks to hear. But now everything there kind of changes. Then if we get into the last kind of look here, we have the 2 kickers, which is Graham Gano and Cameron Dicker. It was tough sledding for that Giants team, y'all. I mean, y'all saw it at 40-0. Graham Gano putting up -2, and he was a top 6 kicker last year. It's not going to stand, so that'll change over the course of the season. Hopefully he can bounce back. I mean, it's not unreasonable to think he won't bounce back right away next season or next game. You would hope that he's able to throw up more than just the -2, but we'll hope. Then, like I said, we have Cameron Dicker able to get 12 points. He actually played a pretty big part in that still unfortunate loss to the Dolphins. All right. Then if we go into next matchup, which was Destino and the Desert Swarm, with once again the Desert Swarm picking up a big win, and they are a newcomer to the league. So once again, looking at the battle of the QBs, it was a rough night for Josh Allen, throwing 3 picks. I think did he also lose a fumble? Did an overtime loss. He was intercepted 3 times and a touchdown. We forgive him. What was the stat line? Yeah, he did have 1 fumble. Okay, I remember that. So that's pretty much 4 turnovers Allen had. That's absolutely insane. So, and considering that man was probably a high draft pick in pretty much everyone's draft, including ours, not like super high, but decently. Josh Allen only able to throw up 11 points, while honestly, this guy's saving grace was the fact that he was going against Daniel Jones, and he also struggled on the day, only able to get 5. So it was this one was a battle of the struggling quarterbacks. Now, if we get into the first set of running backs, we had the I shouldn't say new, but not like new, but newly kind of like established RB1 there in Dallas without Zeke. Tony Pollard able to get 22 points, while they just whooped on the Giants. Josh Jacobs able to get pretty modest 9 in the win over Denver. If we move into the next set of running backs, we had Cam Akers for. Move this up. There we go. Okay. So Cam Akers for Destino, only able to get 8.9. I think he was actually out-carried by, there was like a rookie, like Kyron Williams, who also, I think was even targeted more, so that could be a bad sign for Akers. On the opposite side of the ball, Travis Etienne, able to get a very good stat line of 21 points in the win over Indy. Then we get into the battle of the first set of wide receivers here. Debo, 11 points, pretty modest stat line. That'll help. Getting 11 points in that win over Pittsburgh. It was a thrashing, but let's see. To be honest, in that game, the main point getter for at least the Niners was definitely McCaffrey. While on the other side, Tyreek, oh my God, 44 points. Man was just burning everyone, just insane. Who knows? If he's able to keep this pace up, we might. I mean, if you guys have been watching ESPN at all, they've mentioned the possibility of Tyreek being a, MVP candidate, assuming this pace goes on. But it'll be hard to doubt that, man. But we'll see. We're only one game in, so we got a long way to go. Then, brutal. In the wide receiver 2 spot, we had Kadarius Toney, who just had the roughest of rough nights on that week 1. Was it like 4 drops, one of which bounced off of his hands and led to the interception? You hate to see it. Only able to get 1 point, and that brutal 1 point loss to Detroit. While Amari Cooper able to get only 6 points in his, I don't think it's his debut as a Brown? I don't remember. But either way, only able to get 6 points in what was pretty much a rather thrashing of Cincy. Then in our tight end spot, we have Juwan Johnson, able to get 6 points, which is all right, in the win over Tennessee with Dallas Goedert, who put up a big old goose egg in the win over New England. Yo, what's good, J Money? Have we got to my game yet? No, we haven't. Not yet, brother. Not yet, but we will. This is the oh my gosh, Destino and Desert Swarm. We did Massage Watson and Team Nugent, and now we're doing Destino and Desert Swarm. Yours probably isn't for a few yet. Move over here. All right, let's see. Damn. Dallas Goedert, like I said, put up a goose egg for Philly. In the flex spot, we had Mike Williams go off for 8 points in the loss to Miami, while David Montgomery factored in for 13 points in the win over Kansas City. And like I said, I think him and Jahmyr Gibbs are going to be awesome. They're going to be quite the tandem and racking up a lot of points. Let's see. In the battle of the defenses, the Browns got 9 points, even though they put a beating on the Bengals. And then Jaguars able to get 13 in the 31-21 win over Indy. Which you would think that the team that won 24-3 would have gotten more points, but then the team that put up 21-31, But hey, I don't do the scoring. That's all on ESPN. Then if we take a quick little look at the kickers, we have none other than Younghoe Koo putting up a pretty modest 7 in the win against Carolina. And then Mr. McPherson for the Bengals, only able to get 3 points. He only put up the lone field goal for them and got them the lone points of the game. So can't do anything when you're just getting straight up demolished. All right, we'll move into our third game, which was Team Ditka and new team, same Zeke. Just kind of just rolling right along. All right. So in our first set of QBs, Justin Fields able to get 16 points. Oh. The only thing I wish is I could see who was who. Well, and I wish that wasn't there. No. Cool. I don't want this here. Can you go away? Can you go away? Can you go away thing? Can you go away? Oh my god. Boom. Alright. We good. Alright, we'll just have to remember that Team Dicka's on the left. There we go. Alright. So, Team Dicka, sticking with their Bears, had Justin Fields, and we also got to get the fantasy points on the right side, too. Yeah, this one was a pretty close one. There was a few that were within, like, only, like, three or so points. But, anyways. So, Fields getting 16 points in the loss to Green Bay. Lamar Jackson able to get only 8 points despite blowing out Houston. If we look at the running backs for, once again, Team Dicka, Chubb doing a pretty modest 16. What do I mean a modest 16? Getting 16 points is awesome, especially for a running back. If we look at Mr. Joe Mixon, able to get 10 points, even though the Bengals lost to the Browns. In the next set of running backs, we had Miles Sanders putting up 11 points in the loss to Atlanta, while Isaiah Pacheco only able to get 9 points in the 1-point loss to Detroit. He'll be back. They'll bounce back for sure. In the battle of wide receivers, first up we have none other than A.J. Brown, able to get 14 points in that win over New England, while Justin Jefferson, the pretty much solo #1 target there, and target big man there in Minnesota, able to get 24 points in the loss to Tampa. If we look at the next set of wide receivers, we have Brandon Cooks, able to get mediocre 4 points in the win, despite it was a blowout win over the Giants. So hopefully Brandon Cooks get a little bit more points. I know that man's produced with pretty much every quarterback he's been around. Hopefully he can stay healthy too. I know that's always been a thing of his past, but yeah, you would think that maybe in that 40-point win that maybe would have been used more, unless they just, were like, hey, can't risk it, take you off the field along with like the rest of our starters, but we'll see. Then Odell Beckham Jr. only putting up 5.7, so a kind of similar stat line, pretty low. I think Zay Jones was actually, or Zay Flowers? It might be actually missing. I think it was Zay Flowers. Am I combining names? You should see. Mark Andrews. It was Zay Flowers, yeah. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers was the star of that game for sure. Moving into the tight ends, we got Kyle Pitts, going to be that all-star there in Atlanta, getting 6 points, pretty modest in the win over Carolina, while Cole Kmet in the loss to Green Bay only able to get 9. Moving straight into the flex positions, we had J.K. Dobbins. Oof. Brutal. J.K. Dobbins, who is now out for the season, able to get 11. Able to get 11 before he went out with injury, which is, you hate to see it. Then you got, on the opposite side, Jamal Williams, only able to get 7 points in that 1-point win over Tennessee. Hopefully, I want to see, I'm a big Jamal Williams fan, so I'd love to see him bounce back and get a little bit more points. Although I know once Alvin Kamara comes back from suspension, it might be a little bit more of a committee situation there in New Orleans, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. Moving straight into the defenses, the Bengals, who just got mildly whopped by the Browns, only able to get 6 points, while the Niners, who just put a full-blown beatdown on the Steelers, able to get 14 points in that big 30-7 win. Then the kickers, we had Greg Zuerlein, who able to get 11 points in that absolutely insane Monday night game. Unfortunate, obviously, about the Rodgers situation, but dude, Miracle in the Meadowlands 2.0, winning it on a punt, that's insane. Gotta love it. That's why we love football. And Harrison Butker able to get 8 points in that loss to Detroit. This was a super close one. Only by about 3 points. I would take that back. This was... Oh yeah, it was by about 3 points, 96 to 99. Moving straight along, we had the Young Guns and Bob's Burgers with, once again, Bob's Burgers picking up the win. Young Guns, who spent an early draft pick on Mr. Patty Mahomes, which, you know, warranted, some would say. Patty Mahomes in that loss to Detroit, that they... If Tony actually could have caught those, there's a good chance that they win that game. 21 points, so still actually very good stat line, while Goff only able to get 16, even though they did get the win in that game. In our battle of the running backs, we had James Cook putting up a pretty modest 10 in the loss to the Jets, while Derrick Henry able to, you know, King Henry, able to get 13 points, while unfortunately picking up the loss there in New Orleans. In our next set of running backs, we had some Samaj P. Ryan, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, I hope so, able to get 11 points in the 1 point loss to Vegas, while DeAndre Swift, who's definitely going to be in a running back by committee situation there, able to only get 1 point. So that's brutal. And so how's that Chiefs loss still hurts? Bro, I don't blame you. It hurts me. Because Tony had that shit in his hands. In his hands, brother. He had it in his hands. And one of them, it even bounced off, and then that's how the pick six happened. But it's just like, hate to see it. Hate to see it. You guys will bounce back, though. Don't worry. Then we had... Oh, if we move into the wide receivers, T. Higgins, who was pretty much an invisible man during that Browns and Cleveland game. All of Cincinnati's team just struggled mightily. Put up a goose egg. While Garrett Wilson, who everyone thought, or I should say, not everyone, but a lot of people thought, including myself, that this man's draft stock was going to go take a hit, or that he wasn't going to score anything once Rodgers went down. Sure enough, Zach Wilson threw him like a beautiful little pop, you know, right on a fade. Oh, awesome! And he tipped it to himself too. But hey, he was still able to get 14 points in that win over Buffalo. Into the next set of wide receivers, DK Metcalf able to get 13 big ones in that loss to the Rams, who, you know, the Rams, I don't think anyone suspected the Rams to be coming out the gates like that. And then DJ Moore only able to get 4 points, while he was pretty much getting shadowed by Jair in that Green Bay game. So, brutal. In the tight ends, Mark Andrews. Man, we were seeing a lot of goose eggs here. Mark Andrews put up a goose egg, even though wait, did Mark Andrews get injured or get out? Or did he not play? Let's see. Yeah, he missed week 1. That's why. Okay. But they had him starting anyways. Oof. And they had Ertz there. Brutal. That would have helped a lot, actually. Then let's see. We got Pat Fryermuth. He was able to get a pretty modest 7 points in the... I mean, hey, if your team's getting blown out 7-30 and you're still able to muster out around 7 points, decent. I mean, obviously everyone would love to get in like 10 or so points, even a score, but when you're getting beat down, you're getting beat down. So you got to get them where you can get them. And that also means that Muth is pretty much I'm not going to say a go-to target, but especially with the injuries to Deontay Johnson, man's stock going up. In the flex spot, we have Scary Terry getting 5 points in the win over Arizona, while DeAndre Hopkins getting 13 points in the 1 point loss to New Orleans. So D-Hop continuing to be himself in a new city. If we look at the defenses real quick, we have the Saints putting up a damn good 12 in the 1 point win over Tennessee, while the Eagles, even though they got the win over New England, also got a pretty decent 11, which, hey, you'll take it. A lot of times your defense doesn't even score that much. It's like an average of maybe 5 to 7 points. So hey, getting over that is perfect. Oh yeah, you guys are definitely gonna bounce back, 100%. If anything, that just like galvanized your team. You guys are gonna be pissed, and you guys will get Chris Jones back, so I wouldn't be too worried. In the kickers, we had Daniel Carlson, who only got 5 points in the 1-point win over Denver, and Matt Gay, able to get 3 points in the loss to Jacksonville. Oof. Little drink. Do a loud talking. All right. CD's Nuts versus the BJJs. So in this one, in our battle of the QBs, Jalen Hurts able to get 14 points in that win over New England, while Mr. Cole's Cash himself, Kirk Cousins, getting 19 points in that loss to Tampa. Then the big man for Green Bay that day, well, I shouldn't say the big man because I can't forget, Dobbs did catch 2 touchdowns, while Aaron Jones also got himself a couple touchdowns, 26 points in that big win for Chicago. While it's, hey, I didn't even realize he actually had a better day than his counterpart over here, who was Christian McCaffrey, who is looking better than ever on that San Fran team. Once again, I say it again, they're Super Bowl favorites. They got to be. Like, if they're all more starting me, I think, at this point is themselves. Christian McCaffrey this week put up 25 points in that blowout win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Moving into this next set of running backs, we had Rashad White getting a pretty modest 6 points, which is actually pretty similarly enough to what Dameon Pierce put up in the loss to Baltimore, getting 6 points as well. So 6.9 to 6.7. In our look at the wide receivers, we had Devontae Adams getting 12 points in the win over Denver. Chris Olave getting 19 in the win over Tennessee. So Olave, I think he's totally solidified himself as the number one wide receiver there. I know they still have Mike Thomas, but I think at this point Olave's probably surpassed him at this point, because I think MT sat out for like 2 seasons or so. But we'll see. Although I will say that team was cooking. Then in our next set of wide receivers, we have the team namesake of CD Nuts, Mr. CD Lamb, picking up 11 points in the big, huge blowout win over the Giants, while Tyler Lockett put up only 3 points in the loss to the Rams. In the battle of the tight ends, we had Dalton Schultz only able to get 2.4 points in that loss to Baltimore. It was pretty brutal. It's pretty tough going for the with CJ Stroud there, QB. Hunter Renfrow looking for a trade partner. Very interesting. Still with the Hunter. I think Hunter Renfrow or the Raiders mentioned that they were looking for a trade partner. No one wants to play with Jimmy G. Poor guy. Not really poor guy. It's fair. Next thing you know, Devontae's going to want out. So Dalton Schultz in that blowout loss to Baltimore only get 2.4 points, while Darren Waller able to get 6 points. So mediocre stat line there, because the Giants got blown out. And there was also, I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but I did hear some rumors that actually Darren Waller might be having I think it was either a hamstring or an ankle issue. So something to look out for going forward. Then in the flex spot, CD's Nuts had Michael Pittman Jr. picking up 23 points in the loss to Jacksonville, while Alexander Mattison, the new solo number 1 running back there in Minnesota, getting 13 points. So pretty good stat line, even though they did lose that game to Tampa. Then we get the completely unprecedented defensive score here with 35 points by the defense here. Good lord, as they put up a shellacking on the Giants. Then the poor Patriots defense putting up a pretty modest 7 points in the loss to Philly. And if we move straight into the kickers real quick, we had good old dependable JT getting 5 points in the win over Baltimore, while Greg Joseph also able to match that with 5 points in the loss to Tampa. Then in our final matchup, we had D. Adams family and our reigning and defending champion, Kelsey Me Softly, with Kelsey Me Softly picking up the win. So if we take a look, starting with the QBs, Tua Tagovailoa, that man is balling out so far. Looking like an MVP candidate. Obviously, him and Tyreek, they're going to be killing it. I think as currently he's on pace for like 7,000 yards, which, I mean, obviously that's not going to happen. But hey, who knows? Maybe it will. We'll see. But if he does keep that current pace, that'd be insane. Tua able to get 31 points in that win over the Chargers, while Trevor Lawrence able to get a very decent 20 points.
Feel the rhythm.
Feel the rhyme. Get on up. It's bobsled time. Hooligans. Zeno, what's good, fam? Appreciate you, my guy. How we doing? How we feeling, dude? Thank you. How we doing? How was your stram? Hope you're doing well. Do a quick little shout out. Shout out. Yes, sir. We are doing our once a week. We have kind of like a little preview of our fantasy football league. So this is kind of like our fantasy football talk show. But welcome on in, everybody. Welcome on in. Hope you guys are enjoying it, and I hope you guys enjoyed Zeno's content, and welcome on in. But anyways, like I said, we are talking some footy football and some fantasy football. So hope you guys are having a great one. Once again, welcome on in. He's about to pass out, to be honest, so if you don't say anything, that's why. It happens. I feel you. Good to see you, Chocolate Taco. Hope you're doing well, staying safe, having some fun. Thanks for dropping by. But yeah, we are talking some football, going through some of our community. Well, we have a community fantasy league here, and this is us just kind of, going through our little bit of a talk show with it. But all right, hope you're doing well, and thanks for joining. So, resuming where we were at before Zeno and his wonderful self decided to drop on by. We're talking about Trevor Lawrence, who actually did put up a damn good stat line, getting 20 points this week in the win over Indy. While if we move into the running backs, we had Saquon only able to get 9 points because obviously the Giants got destroyed by Dallas, able to get 9 points in that loss. While Bijan, the rookie sensation and first-round pick for Atlanta, able to get 20 points in that huge win over Carolina. We'll see how he fares this week against, your boys, Green Bay Packers, but we'll see. In the next set of running backs, we had Ramondre Stevenson able to get 14 points, while Kenneth Walker able to put up 10 in the loss to the Rams. I should say that Ramondre Stevenson, Pats did actually lose to Philadelphia, but still got a better stat line. I know even Zeke got like a few touches in that game too, but he did not look good. But yeah, I've never really been a Zeke fan. In our first battle of wide receivers, we had Stephon Diggs go off for 26, even though Buffalo did lose on Monday night brutally on that punt. Well, I shouldn't say brutally, but I mean, he didn't even. Oh man, that was just miracle in the Meadowlands 2.0. Then Calvin Ridley also able to put up a similar stat line with about 24 points in that big win over Indy. So 24-26, so huge out of your number one wide receivers there. Then we had Devontae Freeman, able to get 17 points this week in the win over New England, while Brandon Ayuk, who once again continuing his production from last season and continuing his repertoire with Brock Purdy, able to get 32 points there in that blowout win over Pitt. In the tight end spot, we have George Kittle only able to get 4.9 points, while the Niners, like I said, blew out Pittsburgh. And Njoku, even though the game did get away from Cincy there, he was only able to get 4 points, 4.4, so pretty low. You hope to, I think he became more of like a red zone monster towards like the later part of the season, but we would like to see more. A lot of people that drafted him probably higher would like to see some more, production out of it. But it's only week 1, so we're can't overreact about it too much. If we move into the flex spot, we have Chris Godwin throwing up 10 big ones in the win over Minnesota, while Khalil Herbert also able to throw up pretty much the same stat line, getting 11 points in the loss to Green Bay. I think he is the not sole number 1 running back there in Chicago. I think they have a rookie that is also probably expected to start to cut into his targets and carries at some point. In the battle of the defenses, we have the Steelers able to only get 3 points while they got thrashed by the Niners. And if we take a look at on the opposite side, we had the Commanders able to get 12 points in that big win over Arizona, which Arizona's run with Josh Dobbs, and I think he had 3 turnovers himself. So, and I mean, don't get me wrong, Washington actually has a pretty formidable defensive front, so they're no joke. Then if we get to the kickers, we have Riley Patterson only able to get 3 points in that huge win over KC, while Will Lutz, I think he actually missed a kick or two, which is a shame because he was actually brought in by Sean Payton there, also only able to get 3 points in the week. All right, there we go. That's just the review of week 1. That part takes a little bit longer because you know what? We got some newcomers. So it adds a whole new layer to it all. But, okay. So the next part we're going to do, there wasn't anything left in that, is the power rankings. So I just took how the power rankings were as of week 1 and as how they were in ESPN. So, and how ESPN decides it is by the highest amount of points, or highest amount of points scored. So if we dip out of the break it down, go into our power rankings. Boom, here you are. So in current first place, we have our reigning and defending champ because his team put up the most this week. You have Kelsey Me Softly. In second, you have newcomer, good old Desert Swarm. Then in third place, taking our third top dog, is CD's Nuts, newcomer with an old name, taking home the 3rd overall top dog spot. Now for the rest of the pack here, in 4th spot we have Massage Watson, and in 5th spot we have Team Ditka, and then in 6th we have Bob's Burgers. Now the first top 6 teams, they all have obviously we're only 1 game in, so they have a record of 1-0. Now the obviously 6 through 12 here are going to have 0-1 records. So to start the 0-1 records, we have, my bad, that's 7 through 12. That would be the 0-1 records. So in 7th we have Adam's Family, who, yo, what's good, New Sack Attack? How we doing, brother? Good to see you, my guy. Hope you're doing well, staying safe. What's going on? Welcome. We are doing our good old Fantasy Haus Live. Decided to bring them back for streams, going over our community fantasy league stuff. But hey, good to see you, brother. We have in 7th the Adams Family. In 8th we have Team Nugent. In 9th, the BJJs, and in 10th, we have new team, same Zeke. You're doing good? Hey, that's what I like to hear, bro. Hell yeah. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. And then finally, for our power rankings, it brings us to the dumpster fires, which, you know, is just the last 2 lowest ranking teams in our league, which as of right now is the Young Guns and, unfortunately, Destino. But it's early in the season, so they can easily turn it around and climb their way out of it. Whew. Now we're going to shift gears another time, because power rankings always go super quick, because it's just, you know, it's not really comparing anything. It is just straight up just telling you how the current rankings are looking out. And there hasn't been any shifting around because, like I said, this is actually the first set. So that's how it plays out. Now we're gonna go into our preview, and then kind of do a little bit of the dumpster fires are the stupid bowl 2 worst 2 teams in the league. Yep, the dumpster fires are the worst, the 2 worst teams in the league. True, and then they do fight in the toilet bowl at the end of the year. It's only 1 game in, so of course they're only down 1 game. But all right, we're gonna do our review now, our preview. Oh, we have that in the way. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. So, in our week 2 matchups, we have Massage Watson taking on Destino, who is, so we have 1-0 Massage Watson taking on Destino, who is 0-1. In our second matchup, we have the Desert Swarm, who is 1-0, taking on 1-0 Team Ditka. In our third matchup, we have 0-1 Team Nugent taking on 0-1 new team, same Zeke. In our third matchup, we have CD's Nuts, who is one of our top dogs, and 1-0, taking on the Young Guns, who are sitting at 0-1 at the moment. In our second to last matchup of the week, we have Bob's Burgers, who is sitting at 0-1 currently, taking on the Addams Family, who's 0-1. And then in our final matchup, we have the BJJs, 1-1, taking on the reigning and defending champion, Kelsey Me Softly, who is 1-0. All right. We can take a quick little. So now the only thing I wanted to previously, we would go in and kind of just like decide which one we would think. I suppose we could probably go through and to make picks like we did. Yeah, we'll just go through ahead. So we'll switch gears and do kind of like another breakdown, but we're going to go into each matchup and kind of, I guess, essentially make picks there too. Boom. Break it down. All right. So actually we can zoom out a little bit on this one. Okay, so we're going to take the current starters over here and just work with them. So we have Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, taking on Pitt versus Josh Allen in Buffalo, going against Las Vegas. Ooh. If how are the rate? Do I not see the Raiders on here at all? Raiders are 1-0. I'd expect, honestly, I think Deshaun Watson's going to have the better stat line. I don't expect Pittsburgh to be a blowout. I expect it to be much closer. But I expect Josh Allen to definitely have some more turnovers. But I think Josh Allen, because of the turnovers, I think Josh Allen might have a little bit less points there. In the running backs, it's Austin Eckler and the Chargers taking on Tennessee. I hope Austin Eckler is able to go versus Josh Jacobs And Las Vegas taking on Buffalo. Ooh. I know Josh Jacobs is really good. Buffalo did get beat by Michael Carter on a big run. Also had Delvin Cook kind of running over him a little bit. So I think Josh Jacobs might actually have the better day, especially if I know Austin Eckler is also working back from an injury, so he might not have as good a stat line. I hope he proves me wrong, as it's my team, but we'll see. In the next RB spot, we have Najee Harris and Pitt taking on Cleveland versus Cam Akers and the Rams taking on San Fran. Oof, this one's Najee for sure. I know Cleveland is going to be tough, but Cam Akers is seemingly, I wouldn't say seemingly getting phased out, but if you were watching that Rams game, Kyren Williams was pretty much out-touching him right away. In the wide receivers, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Detroit taking on Seattle versus Debo and San Fran taking on the Rams. I'm going to go with Amon-Ra. Seattle, they did not win their game. So I think they're going to continue to have a little bit of problems there, but Amon-Ra is going to continue to feast. Debo is going to be, as long as everyone's healthy there in San Francisco, it's going to be hard for everyone there to eat. Because there's a lot of talent on that roster, but McCaffrey, Debo, obviously you got Kittle there, tight end too, so it's just whole roster's loaded with talent. In the wide receivers, next set of wide receivers, we have Keenan Allen. Yeah, Keenan Allen and the Chargers taking on Tennessee versus Kadarius Toney and the Chiefs taking on Jacksonville. Gotta say Keenan Allen's gonna put up a bigger stat line. I'm sure Mahomes is probably gonna go and throw Toney a few balls, but I do not expect him to have a huge stat line, especially against Jacksonville, who was actually pretty good in the passing game. And if we move to the tight ends, we have TJ Hawkinson and the Vikings taking on Philly versus Juwan Johnson and New Orleans taking on Carolina. Ooh, this will be my New Orleans was cooking, but it was with Olave and Thomas. Hawkinson figuring to be the number 2 there. Always a QB's best friend. I think Hawkinson might edge him out, but it's based on that matchup. It's going to be super tough because it's the Eagles. So, hey, who knows? I bet even Juwan Johnson will probably pop off. If we look at the flex, we have Zay Flowers in Baltimore taking on Cincy versus Mike Williams, and the Chargers taking on Tennessee. Zay Flowers did go off. Maybe he'll become the number 1 there with Lamar Jackson. But against Cincy, I'm expecting them to bounce back, so we're going to go with Mike Williams on this one. In against the Titans, who also happened to lose in week 1. If we look at the defenses, we have the Ravens, who we have the Ravens taking on Cincinnati versus the Browns taking on Pittsburgh. I don't think Cincinnati's going to be as bad. The Ravens defense is good. But I think the Browns taking on the Pit is actually going to put up more points because Pittsburgh looked They got mollywopped. So if Browns keep that defense is pretty insane. So if they keep on going, we'll see. And then Graham Gano, this is questionable, hope he plays, taking on Younghoe Koo for Atlanta. Honestly, I think Younghoe Koo might actually put up the bigger stat line because I do not believe in Arizona's defense. We'll see. But if the same thing happens and the Giants get stomped again, But I expect that Graham Gano, he'll still be used, but I think the Giants will be scoring more, so it'll just be extra points. Whereas Younghoe Koo, I think the Green Bay defense is going to be more formidable and force them to actually kick some actual field goals. So. Okay, moving into our next matchup. We got the Desert Swarm taking on Team Ditka. So we have Daniel Jones in our first QB matchup. We have Daniel Jones and the Giants taking on Arizona versus Justin Fields, and the Bears taking on Tampa. Ooh. This one's hard because, you know, I'm gonna get. This one's probably gonna be weird, and I can't believe I'm doing it. But I'm gonna say I think Daniel Jones is gonna have more, the better game. I know Fields is good, and Fields is going to be running around. Tampa's O-line or D-line is really good, and the Bears' defensive line or O-line is not that great. So I think, yes, Fields may be running, but I think that might be not like, you know, always by design there. So I think Daniel Jones is going to have the opportunity to really carve open a weakened Arizona team. Then if we go into the running backs, we have Tony Pollard in Dallas taking on the Jets versus Nick Chubb in Cleveland taking on Pittsburgh. Jets, another tough defense. I think we have to go with Nick Chubb on this one because Pittsburgh got thrashed and throttled by Christian McCaffrey. So we'll see if Nick Chubb, who was probably a very high draft pick in a lot of people's drafts, including ours, think he'll make some noise. And then the next matchup of running backs, we have Travis Etienne and Jacksonville taking on Kansas City versus Miles Sanders, and Carolina taking on New Orleans. Miles Sanders with a new home in Carolina, by the way, too. Kansas City, they're going to be a bit more tough against the run because Chris Jones did sign, so... But I don't know if I really believe in that Carolina offense yet, though. Especially they signed Tyreek Cohen. I think Travis Etienne's going to have the better day. Might not be as good, but I think it'll be better than the stat line that Miles Sanders is going to put up. In the battle of wide receivers, we have Tyreek Hill in Miami taking on New England versus A.J. Brown and the Philly taking on Minnesota. I mean... This is even a question you got to go with Tyreek pretty much in every situation here until they prove that he either can't be trusted or something happens. It's Tyreek City, baby. Then we go into wide receivers 2. We have Amari Cooper in Cleveland taking on Pitt versus Jordan Addison in Minnesota taking on Philly. Got to go. I think I'm gonna have to go Cooper on this one actually. I think. Oh wait, Addison did have a touchdown, but it's going against the Eagles, who once again they have a pretty damn good defense there. So I think it might be a bit hard for them. So I'm gonna go with Pitt or with Amari and see if he can start hooking up with Sean a little bit. Then in the battle of the tight ends, we have Dallas Goedert in Philly taking on Minnesota versus Kyle Pitts in Atlanta taking on Green Bay. I think Kyle Pitts actually might have the better day here. I know Green Bay, we have some decent linebackers and whatnot, but they haven't really seen like a real world star tight end yet. We had Cole Kmet week 1, and I don't know. We'll see. I know Atlanta's kind of still rebuilding-ish, so we'll see. But Kyle Pitts is still one of the best tight ends in the league. If we go into the flex spot, we got David Montgomery in Detroit taking on Seattle versus Zach Moss, and Indy taking on Houston. Got to go with David Montgomery. Him and Jahmyr Gibbs look good. David Montgomery, I think he got a touchdown. He got a decent chunk of yards too, so I don't see why that man's production will go down. I know Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be used too, and these Lions are going to be good. So they're going to be moving and running the ball, throwing it, everything. They're going to be so damn good. And Seattle, unfortunately, did take that L last week. Then they're probably going to take another one while they get bumped on the chin by Detroit here. Zach Moss, yeah, I don't think it'll be. I think just Dave Montgomery will be doing better this week. In the defenses, we have the Jaguars taking on KC versus the Jets taking on Dallas. Ooh. Dallas in that high-powered offense taking on the Jets, or KC taking on the reigning defending champs. Man. This is a tough one. Because matchup is not great for either. We'll go... I'm going to go Jags. I think Jags might put up a little bit more of a fight than the Jets defense again. Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll stay with the Jags. Although, who knows? The Jets could pop off and just pick off Dak a crap load. Anyways, in the Battle of the Kickers, we have Evan McPherson and Cincy taking on Baltimore versus Greg the Leg Zerline and the Jets taking on Dallas. I actually think Greg Zerline might be more useful in that Jets and Dallas game than McPherson and the Cincy Balti. I do perhaps expect that one to perhaps go into a shootout, but who knows? Okay, in our next matchup, we have Team Nuge taking on new team Same Zeke. So in our quarterback matchup, we have Justin Herbert and the Chargers taking on Tennessee versus Lamar Jackson and Baltimore taking on Cincy. Whew. I think on this one, I would have to go with Lamar, just because Baltimore's looking good. He has a nice repertoire with Zay Flowers so far. He can run, throw. Justin Herbert struggled a little bit. Looks like Tennessee might be another good test. We'll see. But I think we're going to go with Lamar in this one. In the RB spot, we have Mixon and the Bengals taking on Baltimore versus Jahmyr Gibbs and Detroit taking on Seattle. I think I'm going to go with Gibbs. I think Gibbs will have another game where he gets a little bit more touches, and I think he's actually going to put him some good use. Perhaps even get a touchdown. Joe Mixon, I still obviously expect him to be the bell cow there, but that's just my guess, is that this week Jahmyr Gibbs put up some bigger stat line. In the next running back spot, we have James Conner and Arizona taking on the Giants versus Pacheco and KC taking on Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a tough defensive front, so it's not ideal for Pacheco. James Conner, I don't know, that whole situation there for the Cardinals is pretty unfortunate at the moment. So I think Pacheco might actually he might get some short yardage carries, maybe even get a short yardage touchdown. But I think I'll take Pacheco on that one. Ooh, in the battle of pretty much wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 taken in drafts was Jamar Chase and Cincy taking on Baltimore versus Justin Jefferson and Minnesota taking on Philly. Well, both these guys are going against damn good defenses. Justin Jefferson has proven that he can pretty much take it to any number 1 corner in the league and still pull off ridiculous plays. Same thing with Jamar Chase, although they did get kind of shut down last week. So based on that, I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson to maybe make some spectacular catches against Philly. Or hey, who knows, they could get completely shut down. In the wide receiver 2 spot, there's Jalen Waddle in Miami taking on New England versus OBJ and Baltimore taking on Cincy. Gonna have to go with Jalen Waddle on this one. Do expect there to be a lot of passing with Tua here, throwing to Tyreek, but I do expect him to actually land some bombs there, hopefully to Jalen Waddle. But OBJ, I think he only scored like 4 or 5 points last week, so I think he's still trying to work his way into this offense, but with Zay Flowers emerging as quick as he is, he might end up being only the number 2 there. In the tight end spot, we have Evan Engram in Jacksonville going against Kansas City versus Cole Kmet in Chicago, taking on Tampa. Quick little water sip when I think about it. If I had to guess, this one might be super close. I think maybe Evan Engram, just because Maybe Evan Engram by a little bit, but just because I don't know if Fields has got to run a lot, is he always going to be checking down to his tight end? Who knows? Because they also have DJ Moore there, who has shown that sometimes he can help that he can help Fields out, but if Fields has got to run all the time because he's got like no time to throw, that's going to be problems. In the flex spot, we have Mike Evans in Tampa going against Chicago versus Jamal Williams in New Orleans going against Carolina. Got to go with Mike Evans. He looked good in week 1. I expect he'll look good in week 2 against the Chicago defense, which is mid at best. While Jamal Williams, even though he is, I think he's currently the number 1 back there in New Orleans. Carolina, I know Carolina's mid, but at the moment, but I think Mike Evans will put up a better stat line. When it comes to defenses, we have Buffalo taking on Las Vegas versus the Niners taking on the Rams. Ooh, the Rams are actually pretty decent looking, so they might put up a damn good fight, but the Niners are everyone's pretty much healthy, so they're going to be extremely formidable throughout the entire season. Buffalo, they did not really look that great on Monday night, so I think they'll probably, but this is Las Vegas. There's rumors that even Hunter Renfrow wants to get going, and they got Jimmy G there. You know what? Unexpectedly, give me the Bills. Originally, I was going to lean Niners, but I'm going to go Bills. I'm going to say that the Raiders are going to be bad. In the battle of the kickers, we have Harrison Butker and KC taking on Jacksonville versus Cameron Dicker, and the Chargers taking on Tennessee. I think the Chargers will be using Cameron Dicker more, so I think he'll have more opportunities to put up actual field goals, while Harrison Butker will probably be doing a lot of extra points, if anything. All right, moving on to our next matchup, which is CD Nuts and Young Guns. So in the QB matchups, we have Jalen Hurts and Philly taking on Minnesota versus Mahomes taking on Jacksonville. Oof, this is going to be a tough matchup here. But I think, honestly, Mahomes. You can't bet against Mahomes. He's just too good. For a second there, I did think about Minnesota, but because they did get, on paper at least, it seems like they've only gotten worse. Anyways, in the RB1 spot, we have Aaron Jones and Green Bay taking on Atlanta versus Breece Hall, who is figuring to be probably a focal point for the Jets, taking on Dallas. Ooh, Dallas is going to be tough. So I think I'm actually going to go with Aaron Jones on this one. Atlanta is pretty alright. We'll see. But that if week 1 is anything to show for that Dallas defense, Breece Hall might be slowed down a hair, but he did look good on Monday night. Then in RB2, we have James Cook in Buffalo taking on Las Vegas versus Rachaad White, and Tampa taking on Chicago. I'm going to go Rachaad White on this one, as Aaron Jones ran all over the Bears and they can't seem to figure too much out. So I think Rachaad White's going to be able to kind of just tear him up. Then in the wide receiver 1 matchup, we have Devontae Adams and Las Vegas Raiders taking on Buffalo versus T. Higgins versus Cincinnati. No, they're Cincinnati versus Baltimore. I think they can do it. Let's see, where was I? Devontae Adams, Las Vegas taking on Buffalo, and T. Higgins and Cincy taking on Baltimore. Ooh, boy. T. Higgins put up a 0. Devontae Adams stuck with the Raiders. I think I'm going to try and go T. Higgins with the bounce back game. Then if we get to the next wide receiver matchup, we have CD's Nuts. We have CD Lamb taking on, and Dallas taking on the Jets versus DK Metcalf, and Seattle taking on Detroit. Ooh. I think I think CD's gonna have the better day. I think Gino might struggle a little bit with these new look Lions here, but I don't expect it to be too big of a differential there. And if you're going to the tight ends, we got Dalton Schultz in Houston taking on Indy versus Mark Andrews in Baltimore taking on Cincy. Gotta go with Mark Andrews. Think he'd be more of a bit of a focal point there. He's always pretty dependable. Going against Cincy, who did just get blown out, while Indianapolis actually has a pretty decent defense, and the offense for Houston is kind of tough to look at. In the flex spot, we have Michael Pittman Jr. in Indy taking on Houston versus scary Terry McLaurin in Washington taking on Denver. Ooh. I'd probably go Pittman just based off of who's throwing him the ball, while he's got Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson did good, but also the matchup of Houston is also pretty choice. Whereas Scary Terry's got the rookie Sam Howell, and then Denver's, they do have a pretty good defense, got some pieces there, and a new head coach. If we move into the defenses, we have the Cowboys taking on the Jets versus the Saints taking on Carolina. If the same Cowboys showed up last week, God have mercy on Zach Wilson. Otherwise, the Saints might be able to kind of put a beating on Carolina here. But if I had to pick, we'll go Cowboys. I expect there to be some interceptions of Zach Wilson. Then in our kickers, we have good old JT, Baltimore taking on Cincy versus Jake Elliott, and Philly taking on Minnesota. I think Baltimore and Cincy might actually have some more field goals, so we'll go JT. Okay, then we have Bob's Burgers and Adam's Family. In the battle of the QBs, we have Jared Goff. Detroit taking on Seattle versus Tua, and Miami taking on New England. Gotta go Tua, man, it's just too good. In the running backs, we have Derrick Henry in Tennessee taking on the Chargers versus Saquon, and the Giants versus Arizona. Ooh. Damn. Let's see. Where was I? All right. Derrick Henry or Saquon. Might have to go with Derrick Henry on this one. Got to go with the King. Although I expect Saquon to get damn good points. DeAndre Swift and Philly taking on Minnesota versus Ramondre Stevenson. I'm going to go with Stevenson in this one. I just don't believe in that Philadelphia backfield. That they do have some amazing pieces there, but they're just running back by committee. I'm not a fan of it. If we move into wide receiver 1, we have Garrett Wilson. The Jets are taking on Dallas, while Stephon Diggs and Buffalo take on Las Vegas. Diggs put up 26 points last week, and I don't think the Raiders are that great, so I think Stephon Diggs is going to have a good day. In the next set of wide receivers, we have DJ Moore in Chicago taking on Tampa versus Devontae Smith, and Philly taking on Minnesota. Ooh, probably DJ Moore. I might think is able to get a little bit more than Devontae will. Not much, though. In tight ends, we have Freiermuth and Pitt taking on Cleveland versus Kittle and San Fran taking on the Rams. With Deontay Johnson out, I think Freiermuth is going to get a little bit more uptick in looks, while George Kittle, just too many mouths to feed on that team. In our flex spot, we have DeAndre Hopkins, Tennessee taking on the Chargers versus Godwin, and Tampa taking on Chicago. I don't have a reason to see why not to choose Hopkins. He did damn good last week, and I expect that to continue against the Chargers team that kind of struggled a little bit in week 1. If we look at the defenses, we have Steelers taking on Cleveland versus the Eagles taking on Minnesota. These are actually both pretty close. If Cleveland plays like they did the first week, then this could be pretty hard for the Steelers. So we'll have to go Eagles, even though Minnesota's probably not going to be too much of a pushover, but they did get technically worse on paper, in my opinion. And then finally brings us to the kickers, which is Matt Gay in Indianapolis going against Houston versus Riley Patterson in Detroit going against Seattle. I didn't pick this fight, but I mean, I'd like to give it my best shot. I think Matt Gay might actually have the better night. I think there just might be more field goals between Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud going at it. Which brings us to our last preview. Okay, so we have JJ's versus Kelsey Me Softly. Currently, we have Kirk Cousins and Minnesota taking on Philly versus Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville taking on KC. I'm going to go and take Trevor Lawrence on this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if Kirk goes off. In RB1, we have Bijan Robinson in Atlanta taking on Green Bay versus McCaffrey. San Fran taking on the Rams. Can't bid against McCaffrey. Just think the man is just on another level right now. RB2, you have Dameon Pierce in Houston taking on Indy versus Kenneth Walker. Detroit's not going to be a pushover. Indy isn't necessarily. I think we'll go Kenneth Walker on this one. But I know it's going to be probably some tough sledding for Kenneth because, like I said, Detroit's pretty good. In wide receiver ones, we have Chris Olave in New Orleans taking on Carolina versus Calvin Ridley in Jacksonville taking on KC. I'm going to go with Olave. Continue to build up that connection with Derek Carr. And I think he's going to be good. In wide receiver 2 matchup, we have Tyler Lockett in Seattle. Tyler Lockett in Seattle is in Detroit versus Brandon Ayuk in San Fran versus the Rams. Oof, Ayuk is just on another level, just killing it with Purdy. So we'll go with Ayuk on that one. In the tight ends, we have Darren Waller and the Giants taking on Travis Kelce in Jacksonville. Well, shit, if Kelce can play, we'll go with Kelce. Then in the flex spot, we got Alexander Madison versus Christian Watson. Ooh, interesting. Christian Watson, if he can play, could be fun. Madison is still the number 1 back there, but that is against a Philly team, so that could be tough. So we're going to go Christian Watson. In the defensive lineup, we have the Patriots taking on Miami versus the Commanders and taking on Denver. Probably I think Commanders are probably going to have the stat line because that Miami team is scary. Then finally, in the kickers, we have Greg Joseph in Minnesota taking on Philly versus Will Lutz in Denver taking on Washington. I think Greg Joseph might have more of a stat line. I think Philly might do a pretty good job of keeping him only contained to field goals, so we'll see. All right, and that is actually the final part of the, breakdown. So we went through the reviews of the last week. We went through the power rankings of the league. Then we went through the preview of the next week. And I think the last thing we are going to do is look at an NFL schedule real quick. And I'm going to take my picks for the night. Or the week. Can I just do schedule? Week 2. Is there a way to get these all on one? there 2 Monday night games? Looks like it. Just give me 100. Nope. Trying to figure out which one of these is going to get all of them on the same page. Oh, almost this one. So it goes top down. Okay, we're going to take this. All right. We'll do that. Let me change this display to just focus on something else. Oh. Nope, wrong thing. What? Wow, that failed. What if I do... Well, not there, but hang on, you know. Doing some editing on the fly. Sorry. All right. So, can we zoom in on this? Yeah, we can. Okay. And then let me pick a different color. I'll do green. Okay. Let's make some picks. Eagles taking on Vikings. Eagles easy. Packers taking on Falcons. Packers. Raiders taking on Bills. I expect Bills to bounce back. Ravens, Bengals. I'm going to take Ravens. Seahawks and Detroit. Going Lions. Ooh. AFC South divisional matchup here. We got Colts and Texans. I'm going to go Anthony Richardson, that team, and the Colts. Chiefs, Jags. We're going to go Chiefs. Bears, Bucks. I'm going to go Bucks. Sorry, Bears. Chargers, Titans. Ooh. I'm going to go Chargers. Giants, Cardinals. We'll go Giants. Expect them to bounce back. Rams, Niners. I'll take the Niners because they look too good. Jets, Cowboys. We'll take the Cowboys. I'm going to get burnt by them, I know it. The Broncos and the Commanders. I'm going to take the Broncos to get their first win. Dolphins versus Patriots. Dolphins. And then in our Monday night games, we got Saints, Panthers. Saints. And Steelers, Browns. I like the Browns. All right. That was quick. And those are going to be our picks for the week, so we'll see. I'll put these in Discord along with the images that we usually do. But yeah, that is going to do it for, yeah, that's going to do it for, I guess, Fantasy Haus Live episode 2. We officially made it. We went through the previews of, week 1, or not preview, we went through the review of week 1. We did the power rankings. We also did the intro to kind of just like set you up with the new teams and kind of being the return to streaming this. I mean, of course, this will be on the YouTube, which, you know, shameless plug. We're going to put on here. And if you guys, you know, watching on YouTube or enjoying this, please, you know, hit that subscribe button. Additionally, you can leave me a comment right down below. If you're watching the stream and wondering why the fuck is this guy doing the YouTube stuff, I'm just going to export this straight to YouTube. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And for those of you that are tuning in stream, I'm going to end stream just for like maybe a few seconds. And then we're going to start up and maybe play games for a little bit. But as for the people that were, as for the, you know, YouTubers, once again, thanks for hanging out and watching. That's going to do it for this episode. And I will hope to see you next Wednesday, because we're going to do Fantasy Haus Live every Wednesday right before the next week starts. And we're going to do the same thing where we make our picks for the week as the last little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next week, hopefully. Well, in the next episode. Otherwise, if you guys are staying in stream, I will see you guys momentarily. Bye. I should say, peace out, stay safe, much love, and I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.